Welcome back to We're Not the Same. We're so excited to be here talking about all the different things that have changed in our life over the past 2 years, all the things that we're doing differently. And today we're super excited to be sharing 7 quick tips, tactical things that you can change in your life to make a difference.
Yeah, so these are all things that are relatively easy to implement into your life. Maybe some things that you haven't heard of or have heard of in the past and thought, what? But we want to give you a little more information on those and the ways that they've impacted our lives.
Let's dive in.
All right, so all these health practices that we now have, we wanted to share and tried to figure out how to categorize it. So I think we're going to try to show like easiest to implement to hardest to implement, but none of them are really that hard to implement. So
I'm really excited about these. Like I'm a very tactical, let's go do things, let's change things, let's do something different. And these are really pretty easy to change and adjust and go for, and they'll make a difference. Like there's nothing, these aren't like overnight successes. Like you do this one time and you're a brand new person, but these feel very,
it's all part of the holistic, right? Holistic health, wellness, all that.
Yeah. After our last episode of really laying it on tough, we thought tonight we could talk really about some quick tactical things to
hopefully
make our lives better.
Given you guys enough of the all right, you gotta
let's do it. Hard things.
Yeah, get to it with all of our previous episodes, and then today it's okay, what can you actually
let's do it.
What
are things can we do together?
Okay.
So let's start nice and easy. We'll focus on our oral health first. So one of the first things that I do in the morning after I get up out of bed is I go into our kitchen and grab the organic coconut oil from Walmart and put a teaspoon in my mouth and start swooshing it around. So this is called oil pulling. It's been around for a really, really long time.
Isn't it it's a traditional Chinese medicine practice?
You're the one who told me about it, so I'm not exactly sure all the background. But I remember I looked it up, and the idea is that coconut oil is really good. It's coconut oil is great for everything. It's one of those things I feel like when we look up online and what are the benefits of this? And coconut oil is one of those ones that has the page just keeps going. It has 40 different benefits, but it's antimicrobial, antibacterial. I think the big thing with oil pulling is when you swish it around, you swish it around for 10, as long as you can really. And you just kind of swish it around and it attaches itself to the bacteria, the plaque causing bacteria in your teeth. And it kind of binds to it. And then after however long you can do it for, you just spit it out. And then I kind of rinse it out with some water after that. And you're supposed to brush right afterwards too. But this is really super quick and easy. It rejuvenates your breath 100% because it's killing all the bacteria that had your bad germs at night. And then you just feel refreshed. And I've gotten a lot of compliments recently on wow, your teeth look really white. And I think this certainly helps in that, along with the toothpaste that we use. But it's just a quick, easy thing. It tastes really good.
Well, I know you don't have to do it with coconut oil. I've seen you can do it with olive oil, but I cannot imagine how that would taste. I'd much rather do coconut oil than
I like olive oil, but I don't think I could swish it around my mouth for 10 to 15 minutes.
Does your mouth feel oily afterwards or?
Not really, because I rinse out with water afterwards.
Oh, okay.
And it tastes like I just had some coconut. Tastes good to me.
You're so tropical.
I know. It's great.
So that is kind of a really simple thing to do. You can get this humongous tub of organic.
We're going for that one next time. Last time we were at Walmart, I was
no,
let's get
practical.
It. It's massive. It's a gallon.
It's not practical to put that in and out of the cabinet. And one time our coconut oil did leak in the cabinet. So I don't want that huge thing.
Fair enough.
In Florida, it doesn't stay solid year round. In the pantry in the summer, it is just oil, in the oil form.
That's
so it's
true.
kind of a mess. I don't want to lug this huge thing around.
I can see. Yeah.
Just the coconut oil.
Hey, it's good for us.
Lift heavy things.
What's next on the easy thing to do?
So the other thing is the tongue scraping. So this, actually, one of my friends told me about this before I even was into all this health stuff, and I thought she was a weirdo, but Turns out she was onto something. So they sell all kinds of tongue scrapers. A lot of them are plastic. Obviously, stay away from that. We have like a medical grade stainless steel. I mean, it's just from Amazon. But you just first thing in the morning, or I guess I feel like you should maybe do that before you do the oil pulling.
Honestly, I kind of forgot about it because I was there a little while ago when I kind of went through my first season of doing this. I did the coconut oil, and then
You can
I
only
did
do so many things, you guys.
Yeah, you lose track. But I should do that. So you do the coconut oil first.
So see, I don't
the
really
tongue
do the
scraping.
oil pulling, but I do the tongue scraping.
Yeah.
So it just a more thorough, like, I mean, I always use my toothbrush to scrape my tongue in the past, but this is just more like intense, I guess. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's very gentle. Like, you're not trying to scrape your taste buds off or anything, but you just, all that stuff that builds up in the night, just get that out of there.
Yeah.
Then,
cleans your breath and everything.
Yeah.
So super easy. Make
And
sure you
it's
get
like
stainless steel.
$10 for the tongue scraper. So very simple, cheap, just an easy thing to add. And
it's not just good for oral health. So, I mean, I don't know the studies off the top of my head, but I know that it's been, like a lot of oral health is tied to like heart health and other things like that as well. And I remember sometime in my life hearing about like that's when why you should brush your tongue and everything too, to get like, I don't know, the bacteria, whatever it is, but it can impact other aspects of your body.
Yeah, like your mouth it's really interesting to dive into all of that. We have a lot of dentists in our family, so I would be curious to know how much they teach in dental school about the connection between teeth and the rest of the body. Like, I listened to a holistic dentist who was talking about how our teeth are each mini organs essentially, and they're connected to different organs. Each tooth has a specific connection to different organs within our body. And so that's why things like root canals and all that kind of stuff can lead to health problems down the line, because if you're, basically can have infection or things like that, even getting your wisdom teeth out, like you could unknowingly have infections from if you had a bad wisdom tooth removal or something. So it's very interesting. So you really have to know. And then like your mouth under your tongue and stuff is one of the most absorbent parts of your body. So when, in the hospital, if they have somebody where they can't get into a vein, they'll actually put like medications under the tongue or in the cheek because it gets into the bloodstream so quickly. And so this was not on our list of the toothpaste that we use, but that's why we use a fluoride-free toothpaste that has better ingredients in it. It's called Rise Well. I have a coupon code if you want to try it out, so I'll put that in the link below. But it's so important if you're using toothpaste, whether it has fluoride, whether it has bad ingredients, like that's absorbing, even though you don't swallow it. It's going into your bloodstream. And so you really need to just be cautious with anything going into your mouth. So the last oral health thing, which is the third thing on our list, is mouth taping, which is, again, just a thing I had heard about a long time ago. I was like, absolutely not. What?
Yeah.
But if you look into mouth breathing versus nasal breathing, something a lot of people struggle with is mouth breathing. And that's like, how wives, they struggle with the chewing of their husbands. Well, I struggle with a lot of things besides just chewing, swallowing, breathing,
most sounds
existing. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm always like, you're a mouth breather. So I've had him implement some practices to become more of a nasal breather.
Yeah,
which is way better for your health if you look into it. Mouth breathing is like a sign of other issues that could be going on, even within the mouth. Your tongue resting position, your tongue should be resting on the roof of your mouth when your mouth is closed. It all ties into like our facial structure, your jaw alignment. Like, I mean, everything is tied together in the body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. So there's nothing that on its own, may be like the silver bullet or whatever. And there's also nothing on its own that is going to send you into, death or whatever.
It's compounding both ways.
But yeah, exactly. It works both ways. The little stuff adds up for good or for bad. So,
and that's where you can't get overwhelmed by like all the things that everybody throws at you, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that and all this. Like,
add one thing at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so easy, the oil pulling. Like, I get up in the morning, it's the perfect time. Just start oil pulling. It's like, it fits. Like, there are things that can fit into your normal routine. That doesn't have to be such a big deal, but it can have a good.
Isn't there some book about that or something where it's like you stack your habits and
probably
something about that where you just make one small change and then that becomes a habit. And then you're kind of like, okay, what's the next small change I can add? And then that becomes a habit. And so you just can slowly, and I feel like that's what we've done with our food, with our health practices, just over time, over about almost 2 years. I don't even know, which is not in the whole scheme of things that much time, but we've been able to add a lot of different practices into our routines just by doing one step at a time, and there are days where it feels overwhelming as you're learning. And, every time you learn a new thing, you're like, oh my gosh, another new thing. But then if it's something that you think will benefit you and you just add it in and it jives with the lifestyle.
That's right.
So I think mouth taping, you do it, I don't.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So there's these ones on Amazon that look like,
because I am a full nasal.
You're a nasal breather. That's right.
I have good tongue positioning. We'll cut that.
That's what she said. There's a good amount of jokes.
All right.
So mouth taping, essentially got some off of Amazon that they kind of look like an H. Like they're like kind of look like a Band-Aid, but they're like an H.
We can put a link to the brand because there's a lot of things out there.
But it works really good. I mean, it just goes across your thing and
you don't have to like seal your lips completely shut.
Yeah.
But you kind of do.
I thought it was weird, like, to do it like, oh my God, am I gonna like not be able to breathe or whatever? And it's like, no, it's never been a problem. Like, you breathe through your nose.
Your nose is actually for breathing. Your mouth is actually not designed for breathing. It can serve that function, but that's not its purpose.
And it's nice to wake up in the morning like you do, like your mouth feels better. And, by keeping your mouth moist, it helps maintain like that bacteria and stuff that's supposed to be there. She does not like the word moist. And I'm sure a lot of you don't. But anywho, it's good for your mouth to remain hydrated at night. So that is that. Check it out. It's really good. It's also supposed to really help with like snoring and stuff too. If you have that. And
yeah, it does help with that.
I don't snore that much.
I know the nights that you forget to put the mouth tape on. I'll just say that.
There you go. But give it a try. And that is one of the things.
We can put the link below to the specific one because there's a lot of different like types out there, but you chose like the best one.
Yeah, I did some research and found this one. It's a little more expensive, but I think it works well. All right, so moving away from oral health, where are we going next? Kind of full body, right?
So the next thing that we kind of do them together, but we'll just say one at a time. So the first one is the red light therapy. So red light therapy, but also just red light in general. So our world today, we're so inundated with blue light from our screens, our just fluorescent lights in our offices and everything. Like, it's just so much blue light. But red light, which is the light that you would have if we were, living off the land again, it's sunrise and sunset. There's more red light, which helps with the circadian rhythm, which helps with your sleep and all of that, and plays a huge role in health. And so being exposed to red light in the early mornings and the late evenings can help with that. So sometimes I have shared on Instagram, like I'm sitting there in my red light, but I have my my phone with the blue light. But that's another thing, like on your phone, you can add a filter of just like a red kind of sheen, I guess, over the whole screen. So I do that just 24/7, just to help reduce the blue light exposure that I'm getting, because I do spend a lot of time on my phone, unfortunately. But we also have red bulbs in our nightstands that they're like the LED ones, so they can be whatever color you want. So we can make them white if we want, but we just usually only have them on at night. So we just have the red. And so it's just, again, it helps you get more into that sleepy state and just relaxed and all that. But then we also have a actual red light, which is like a near infrared, and there's two things. It's like
it's red light. It's red light
infrared,
and then infrared
light
light.
and near infrared light.
Yes.
I think. So that's an actual like red light therapy. So that there's a lot of research on red light therapy and how, targeting different parts of the body, it is very healing. It's anti-aging. It helps with just a number of things. So we have done that a little bit. I wouldn't say that's one of our like major routines.
That was one of our Christmas gifts, I think, that we ended up getting for us, was like, because they're a little more expensive. I mean, we don't have a big one. The big ones can get really expensive. But we decided to get one to kind of add it into our routine. I would say the easier ones is like replacing your bulbs with the LED bulbs, so you can have the red light. And it in addition to like the health benefits and getting you ready for bed and waking up in the morning, like it also preserves your night vision. So you probably see movies or whatever, and the army and the military uses like red light at night because it preserves that your nighttime vision. So like if you were in a red light room and then went to a dark room, like your vision is maintained. It doesn't have that shock that you do if you look at a white light and then you turn the lights off and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great just uses for the red light. But yeah, the therapy, we haven't used it too much, but I'm excited to use it more often and kind of see if it has more effects.
So along with that, when we have used the red light, I feel like it's been when we've also in conjunction been using the acupressure mat, which is basically like a bed of nails. It's this little mat and also a pillow that has these like little lotus flower shaped spikes. And when you first, like if you touch it, it kind of hurts. I mean, it's not like killer pain or anything, but you're just like, ow, that's sharp. But somehow just when you're laying flat on your back on it and just the even distribution of your weight, it presses into your skin in a way that it's kind of like acupuncture, but it's just acupressure. Obviously, it doesn't have the precision and stuff of if you were actually to get acupuncture done, but it just has the most calming and relaxing effect on you after the first minute or two that you're laying on it.
Yeah, I really like it. It's something that's super relaxing. Like we'll just lay it out. It's not huge. Lay down on it. Put a little worship music on. Put the red light on, and just like take deep breaths, relax, pray. Like it's a great tool to add to your like relaxation. And it really does. I don't know what it does through the pressure on your muscles and nerves. It just kind of relaxes you. So.
And that's such a huge part of health that I think people just overlook, especially on this whole journey. It can get very overwhelming and you might be stressing out over every food and your water and your air and your clothes and all this stuff. And you're getting so stressed out that you're not even benefiting from all the changes that you're making because a stressed out body is not able to heal. And so you have to make that time to have the mindfulness and the relaxation. And obviously it's just a great time to pray, or like you said, we listen to worship music, just using that time, or even just to have silence. I feel like so often in this life, we just never have silence. And I know as a busy mom, like that can be extremely hard to get, the thought of having time for silence, but you don't have to do it for long. It really only takes 20 minutes. I mean, if you can do it for 5 minutes, that's great. But if you can take 20 minutes after the kids are in bed and just lay there in the silence or with music or whatever, it really is so relaxing. And honestly, I need to do it more. I need to make that part of my every single day routine, because every time I do it, it's just so awesome. Like the other day you gave me a nice chance where you're like, just go and do these like wellness things and just relax. And I seriously like could have fallen asleep right after that, but had to come back out and do dinner and all this thing, like eat dinner and all that. But it just puts you in this very peaceful state.
And how much was that? Do you remember how much that mat was?
Under $100.
Nice.
There's some popular brands out there that, influencers talk about. That's another episode I want to do, is like taking all the things that influencers talk about in the holistic space and
finding the cheaper brand.
Yeah, like finding the cheaper brand and like pointing out the problems, I guess, with some of the things that get promoted.
The high affiliate income.
So yeah, anyways, I found a really good one on Amazon and it's under $100, or it was at least.
And as we talk about this, to Katie's point, we often really could just use the time to like de-stress and take a minute away from our phones and kind of life. So like,
yeah, you don't really need the acupressure.
You don't really need, that's what I was going to say. Like it's an enhancement to that time. And it also gives you not the excuse, but the motivation of like, oh, I have something that I can physically do. So that, instead of just, I'm just going to relax for a minute. Like that gives me something to actively think about and actively do. And that will help, I think, dedicate some time to it.
And it has the additional benefits to it as well.
Exactly. Enhancement to your relaxation.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Now into the ones that are a little more expensive / has a lot more impact, I think.
Yeah. So the next one is kind of funny, I feel like. So barefoot shoes. I've talked about that on the gram a few times, and I've never really have like dug into it. So I think people are just like, what? So sorry for that, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But I am like obsessed with barefoot shoes now. There's just no going back. Once you go barefoot, you can't go back. So if you don't know, being barefoot is what's actually best for our body.
Shocker.
It's best for our alignment. It's best for our connection to the ground. Grounding has so many benefits, which is basically just being outside and being barefoot. There is a connection to the earth in that's very healing to the body, reduces inflammation, all these things. And so I haven't dug into the history of shoes and how we got to the shoes that we just have today, but it's not surprising that, the shoes are out to get us.
That's right. The evil shoes.
I know, way back in like Asian countries and stuff, they used to do foot binding for women and all that. And so I feel like someday when I look into it, there's got to be some tie, think about the popular women's high heel stiletto shoes, like this death point, like, it's painful. Like it kills you to wear those. So it's not good for you. Something that's hurting you that badly is not good for your health, but it's really interesting. So even take a tennis shoe, like a high performance running shoe. It may have the wider toe box. So like if you think about most shoes, they're not the shape of a foot. So most barefoot shoes, you also will hear like foot shaped shoes. Like what a concept, a shoe that's shaped like our feet. How odd. And like at first they kind of do look like
duck feet,
clown shoes. Yeah. But like who freaking cares? They're
so
foot. Comfortable.
It's like, it widens out at the top and narrows down by the heel. A lot of our shoes are narrow by the heel, wide, and then point, and again, come to a point. It's just not right.
So your toes. And so maybe we can like flash up some feet pics or something to get some extra views on this thing. But if you put your feet together, and ladies, it can happen to men too, but women are obviously more prone. If your big toes are like pointing in and like you have that bump, like where your big toes connected, that's a bunion. I never knew like what really was a bunion. Mm-hmm. You hear about all that, but it's because you're shoving your toes into these shoes and like it's literally bending your toes in the way they're not meant to go.
And that can have stability issues and
that's what I got myself off track. But so take any, even your best shoe, like a high performance running shoe. The other problem is that the sole is not flat. So it's usually lower in the front and then it thickens up to the back, even if it's not trying to be a high heel shoe, just for the heel comfort or whatever they claim. But that actually can cause like headaches and things, because once again, your whole body is connected. So from your heels, from the back of your heels, that has a connection all the way up to the back of your head. So if you have like those tension headaches, are you ever going to think that that's somehow connected to your shoes that you're wearing? But it can be. Our feet are designed to be flat, not with our heels up. And that creates problems. And I feel like people would just literally never know that.
Not at all.
So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is like literally, once you start learning about that whole slope of the shoe and the higher heel, like you will notice even on shoes, like especially ladies' shoes, when we're out and looking at shoes, like even the ones that look flat, there's like a tiny little heel that they add. It's like, why are you adding these little heels to everything? And it's just not good. And because, and what I was going to say too is, as you start wearing flat shoes, you start to walk probably how you were intended to walk. Like I thoroughly believe we all drive our heels too much when we walk. I especially do, especially because I was in high school, I was in marching band, and you learn to like roll step, which is like leading with your heel first. So I definitely walk with my heels. But as I switched over to flat shoes and barefoot shoes, I literally kind of like relearned walking. And now I hit with more of like my full foot instead of, bashing my heels, which I'm sure would have long-term caused knees and hip and back and neck problems.
Yeah.
So that's why and when you don't do that, it weakens your heel and the muscles. Like when you're not doing barefoot, when we wear these comfy shoes, like it's loosening all of our muscles by doing that. So like we need to strengthen our foot and have a foot strength to help the stability of the rest of our body. So do the hard things, get the flat shoes. And it's not like it's a hard thing. It's just like, that's what we were designed to do.
Well, and that goes to what I was going to mention, which is arch support. So you always hear arch support, arch support, arch support. And all the barefoot shoes are just totally flat inside, no arch support whatsoever. Well, the arch support is supporting the heck out of you so much that you're actually losing your arch when you have so much arch support, because you just have this pad in there or whatever, and your muscles don't have to do a thing. So it sounds backwards at first, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. It's the same thing with bras. Like that isn't one of our topics, but that's maybe a very different one. The bras are what's causing people to have more sagging, because you're supporting, there's been studies done, and you're just supporting yourself so much that your muscles are not working out at all. And so they lose their ability to support things. So it's the same in your feet with your arch support. So I have a really high arch, so that was kind of like a concern, but it's actually helping, not hurting.
Yeah.
So try to just be barefoot as much as you can, just like truly no shoes on your feet. Even if I go out to check the mail, or we're that weird family that walks around the neighborhood, we're all barefoot with our little ragamuffin children. But we literally will go like on a little short family walk with just no shoes on, because just why foot prisons, why?
And at the very least, which is surprising to me, that I've always grown up at home like not wearing shoes and stuff, but apparently people like wear shoes and stuff in their house. Like when you're at home, at the very least you could do is just be barefoot.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've always been barefoot at home too, so I don't understand that, but just
it happens.
Try to be barefoot as much as possible.
So we love, like, as we think about like what brands and stuff, like we use Earth Runners are like, I would consider probably the best.
Well, so that's the other thing too. So you might think, well, I just wear like flat flip-flops, so it's not a big deal. The way that the flip-flop is, you're just stereotypical Y-shaped flip-flop. Your toes have to hold on in such a way that's not holding your foot in a natural walking position. And so your toes have to like kind of cling on. And if you think about this when you're walking, you'll notice. And that's putting an unnatural pressure on your foot. So the Earth Runners have the straps in such a way that they hold the foot in a natural position. So it's literally effortless. The shoe is staying on effortlessly for your foot. And it's so comfortable.
It's so comfortable. And I was so like, I feel like I really appreciate the softness of shoes and like the comfort. And I was worried, as I think about, we go to Disney a lot and walk around for I mean, probably miles, by the end of the day. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And I was super hesitant the first time and I would say it like takes some time to get used to. Cause like you do kind of relearn how to walk. Like I was banging heels and all that. And that's going to hurt when you're not learning, like when you're not walking properly.
Yeah. They say
So
like when you first do earth runners, don't go on like a 10-mile hike because you're going to have additional soreness. And I noticed that with the tennis shoes that I had too.
Yeah. But once you kind of break them in, just like when you break in new shoes, break in your new way of correctly walking. I went to Disney and had no problem. Like, in fact, then I actually switched back. Like I wore an old pair of shoes or whatever to Disney one time. And I was like
in the winter.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, my feet are killing me. But when you're barefoot in these earth runners,
there's really a lot less of that. I mean, your feet still get sore, but it's different than when you get home and you have these big, heavy tennis shoes and you're peeling off the sweaty socks and you're just like, oh, my feet are killing me. That's because of the shoe, not because of the walking.
And I don't get blisters with these or anything.
And then there's also tennis shoes that you can get. So there's a brand that I have tennis shoes and they make dress shoes. So he got a pair for work, dress shoes. And those are awesome. And I think they look pretty decent. They don't look crazy. So there's a lot of things. They aren't cheap, right? So I was used to buying, the Target sandals, $20 or whatever. These are like $90. So that's why we have them kind of more as a harder thing to implement because not everybody just can run out and buy those. But I would say, maybe skip the next few pair of Target sandals that, those things don't last long anyways. And just try it out, or there's probably, there's not really cheaper brands. I was going to say there's probably cheaper brands. There's not.
Nope.
There's really not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then the other thing, this is a cheap thing that you can do if you don't want to change the shoes, is the toe spacers.
Oh, yeah.
Which I haven't been doing as much because I just have all barefoot shoes now. But they're like these little gel things that you put. They're a little different than what you would get at a pedicure. But you just put them on, and we used to work out in them.
Yeah.
When we would do just our at-home workouts, we would just be barefoot with the toe spacers on. It like splays out your toes more. So that's how it should be. Your toes shouldn't be like tight and weird looking. They should be splayed out. And so the toe spacers just help to, kind of retrain your toes. It feels really good.
It does.
So we're going to start one of those foot photo accounts because now we have really nice feet. No, I'm just kidding. Paying the bills.
She has really nice.
Bills.
She has really nice. Like I would consider like perfect feet.
Oh, so thanks, honey.
We've always joked.
$100 a photo if you want to see.
I was gonna say we could all be retired right now, living on the beach. But
okay, so the last thing on our list, which we have as the hardest to implement, but again, it's more for a financial hardship than actually implementing it, is chiropractic care. So this is something that I grew up, like probably a lot of people, where it was like, oh, kind of beware of chiropractors, like might get paralyzed. I mean, it has happened.
Looking at all the things like the standard medical fields and, doctors don't necessarily directly, but the things that prescribed or get jabbed into you cause the chances.
Everything has a risk, right? But if you go to somebody who knows what they're doing, hopefully your risk is reduced somewhat. But if you're not aware with what chiropractic care is, it's not just like about your spine and getting your spine aligned. Like people be like, oh, I don't have back problems, so I don't need to see a chiropractor. It really has nothing to do with that. Like it can be, of course, helpful for those things, but it's all about your central nervous system and your spinal cord and all of the nerves in your body, which you think of nerves as like, oh, that's what helps us to feel pain or all this. But the majority, like 70%, I'm probably getting that number way off, you don't actually feel. It's not a pain recepting nerve. And so there can be things going on in your body that if you're in misalignment, you can have something pinched or all this stuff. And so that is how chiropractic care can just help kind of get everything back to its original design and function. And so your body can thrive.
it's helping to reduce the stress on, like, we're under so much stress these days, mental, physical, environmental, all the things that impact us. So like chiropractic helps relieve the pressures on our nerves and the muscles that's kind of surround the nerves and the spine and the spinal cord. It's allowing our body to relax a little bit, and that's going to help in your overall healing. It's going to help with the reduced inflammation that's going to cause less pain and things like that. So it's kind of the first step to, or a step in helping your body relax, which is totally true, because every time we go, like, we always leave and feel like, oh man, just feels so much better.
Yeah.
And I don't have like back pain or like a misaligned spine or anything per se. So like,
yeah. So when you go to a chiropractor, you want to go to one that's going to scan you first before starting treatment, just because you don't really want somebody going in blind. You want to see exactly your baseline. You want to see what you're starting off with. So like for you, you started off with pretty much you were good, but you still have had benefits from going.
yeah, absolutely. I go for like wellness, basically. There's like certain things throughout the week or whatever that you can become like smallly misaligned. So it just helps you, get your body back to relaxation. And
Yeah, and I shared in the last episode a little bit about just my mental health struggles, and that's actually why I ended up seeking out chiropractic care, just as kind of a, let's try this, like nothing else is working.
Yep.
And I think, it hasn't been just like, oh, totally cured, like thanks to chiropractic care. I think there's a lot of factors that have played into it, but I did have some experiences after my first few appointments where there was a emotional detox that happened, and I've learned that is actually common. It's not just like something that happened to me. Like this is actually getting things more aligned and just releasing things from your spirit, not your spirit, but just releasing things from your body that you don't even know, like you're holding on to. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going insane. It's like one of those things where you might feel like you're getting worse before you get better, I guess. One step back, two steps forward.
Yeah, but it was just you detoxing, like we talked about
it's just
before.
like you have to release those emotions. I mean, after the traumatic years that we had that led me into my issues, it makes total sense that there were things I was holding on to that I had to let go of in order to move forward. So I'm grateful for those very odd experiences, out of body experiences. But
so find a good local chiropractor, look at reviews, make sure they do scans.
The thing that's great about chiropractors is a lot of them are more like holistically minded.
Yes.
So we started learning about chiropractors a lot during the pandemic, because a lot of them were the ones who were speaking out against certain things and calling stuff out, because they've always felt that way. And I mean, we can go into the whole history, but yeah, so that's kind of, so you can find one if you have similar belief values as us. You can probably find a chiropractor who has those similar belief values. If you're going to the one that your, primary care physician recommends, who accepts insurance and is going to have you in for, the 8 visits that insurance will accept, that might not be, the best choice. But that's, you got to
do your research,
read reviews, talk to people, ask for recommendations in the neighborhood, like all your due diligence you just have to do. But we now know a lot of chiropractors, and it's a good group.
It's a good group. They line right up with all of us. So, and we've learned a lot too. So,
yep. So that's obviously, it's not as cheap as mouth tape, but you also get a lot more benefits than out of something that's less expensive. So greater risk, I guess you could say, greater reward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully all of these things gave you some ideas, some things to think about, maybe some things you haven't heard of before. We probably could do a part 2 of this episode. I feel like I've thought of like more things that we do. But so these were all kind of things that we had either never heard of or things that we used to think were weird. And now we're drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say, the dye-free, sugar-free Kool-Aid. So yeah, I don't know. We're tired. Sorry if this was like a crazy episode.
That's it. Yeah, we hope this helped, and we didn't mention it in the beginning, but please like, subscribe, leave a comment, 5-star review.
Yeah.
We just appreciate all that, and please reach out, put comments down below. We love to talk to you guys. We're here for you and to serve you, and love God and love our family. With that,
See you next time.
see you next time.